So the first thing I'm going to do is take some 210 denier thread. I'm going to go ahead and tie that on the back of the hook. The hook we're using today is a Mustad Tarpon hook. Go ahead and trim off the slack. And this is a very simple Tarpon Bunny. It only takes 3 materials: red and white Zonker, and then of course Bucktail. So I'm going to start off with my natural colored Bucktail, white. I want to find a good piece, and I want to go about twice the length of the hook itself. So I turn the fly upside down so that I can get this on the bottom of the hook shank, basically giving a nice solid base for that zonker to sit on. Once I find where I want it, go ahead and do a couple loose wraps, and I wrap toward the back of the hook shank to go ahead and secure it in place. Once I feel like I got it in place, I'll go ahead and make a couple tighter wraps going back toward the front of the hook, making sure that it's secured down nice and straight. Go ahead and trim off all of the excess. I like to use a pair of curved scissors. Makes it a little easier to get in there and get a nice tight cut. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple drops of Sally's Hard as Nails. Just go ahead and start secure this fly all the way down. So the next thing I have is just a small piece of hard mason. This was going to be a 33-pound by Rio, and I'm going to go ahead and just secure this to the top. And what that's going to do is it's going to help to keep the rabbit or zonker strip from fouling around the hook, and it'll kind of keep it holding straight back away from the point of the hook. Once I get it positioned the way I want, go ahead and make a couple tight wraps and secure it down. And then go ahead and trim off the excess slack. As I trim all my materials, I slowly work a nice smooth taper toward the front of the hook to give myself a nice platform to tie the next set of materials down. So here's where I'm going to take the white zonker strip. I'm going to go ahead and go about the same length as the bucktail. I'm going to secure it right at the very front and slowly tightening as I get to the back, making sure that it's evenly wrapped around that hook so that it sits upright, nice and straight. And then of course that piece of mono or hard mason is going to sit right on top of that and kind of help hold it in place. Go ahead and secure that down with a couple extra wraps. Trim off any slack. Now I'm going to start wrapping toward the front of the hook so that I can go ahead and secure some bead eyes. The bead eyes I like to use are the Pseudo Eyes. Basically it's got the little painted dab already in there on a nickel-plated dumbbell eye. I'm going to go ahead and do my figure 8 wraps until I feel like it's really secured. Kind of make sure I get it placed just right. And then once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and do what they call the helicopter wraps and wrap underneath the eyes. You can kind of see how I go back and forth and get underneath the eyes, and that creates a little base that works for the top, kind of securing those eyes down. Then go ahead and work back toward the base of the hook, or toward the point. Put a nice coat of Sally's right over the top of those eyes, kind of hold them in place. Now you're going to take your next material, which is just red zonker strip, exactly the same as the white. And I'm going to secure this on the back of the hook, right in front of the white material. And then go ahead and work your thread all the way to the hook eye and go ahead and leave it there. Now I'm just going to wrap this around the shank of the hook just the same way you would with, say, saddle hackle or any type of W material. And as you're working, you want to make sure that the material lays in front so that it creates a nice collar effect going all the way up. Once I get up to the eyes, make a couple wraps, make sure I'm nice and tight. And then I'm going to lay the material on the bottom side and bring it right underneath the eyes and where I can tie it down and trim it off. Just give it a couple loose wraps to hold the material in place, and that'll allow me to trim it off. So now that I've got it trimmed off, you're going to want to go ahead and pull the material toward the rear of the hook, get it out of the way, and then make several final wraps to go ahead and secure the rest of that zonker. Once it's secure, then you get out in front of the eyes, and you're going to build up a little bit of a body and just kind of finish that hook off. Make sure those eyes stay in place. Once that's done, go ahead and get your whip finish tool. And I like to go ahead and secure the first one with one second one, making sure that it locks in nice and tight. Go ahead and trim the thread off. And then I like to put a little bit of epoxy head to it, kind of build that head up, make sure it slides nice and smooth. What I'm going to be using is called Cure Goo. It's a UV epoxy, and this is the thin version. So just go ahead and place a little bit on top of the head and a little bit underneath the head. The thing that's nice about this material is it's very easy to work with. You can still kind of manipulate it, and it doesn't instantly start drying. Once you hit it with the UV light, of course it'll go ahead and cure itself. It takes about 4 to 5 seconds with the light, and then is 100% set. I'm using a bobbin to kind of make sure that I get that epoxy right up against those eyes. I don't want those guys sliding around at all, especially when you're fishing for tarpon. Very large fish, and they can do a lot of damage to your flies. Make sure when you are using a UV light you don't directly stare into it. It can be extremely harmful. You can wear glasses to kind of help shield that, but it does only last about 4 to 5 seconds. And then the last thing I always do is put a little bit of nail polish over the top of it and give it that nice red look. So now you have a finished tarpon bunny. Looks good, pretty durable, got the epoxy on there to kind of help out, nice smooth head on it, and of course those pseudo eyes to help balance it all out. Really nice looking fly, easy to tie, just a couple materials, just kind of let it hang out and let the nail polish dry at this point. I hope y'all appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.